This is Dabu7, and there's a reason why I always say to use discernment. It looks like, once again, we have a story that has been peddled out by the AP and many other mainstream outlets that is trying to say that Trump was thinking about mobilizing the National Guard, some 100,000 troops, for immigration roundups. This is the story that was put out by the AP. Quickly, when the White House was asked about this, they responded and said, no, this is more fake news. It's what they stated. Now, right out the gate, depending on whether you're for or against Trump, this is going to send you in one of the directions. And I've already noticed, just by going over and looking at the logs of all the people tweeting all this stuff and the hashtags, what it's doing. And it's along the lines of everything that happened with the hashtag Muslim ban that people ran with fraudulent information that was peddled by the mainstream media. Even world leaders citing it. And I didn't see any of them coming back and making any other statements against it after they found out that it was fake news, probably because they felt like idiots. Well, this stuff happens out here. When people come across something and it checks out to not be true, you need to put out a news statement clarifying where everything sits. What I try to do is put all the cards on the table and just leave it there. It's right there for everyone to evaluate. And where it sits right now is the White House is adamantly denying this, saying that there's nothing to this, that this is more fake news, this is crap. But let me go a little bit further here. It's like a cat fight up here at the top. Dig a little bit deeper to the root. Okay, where did this come from? These are the questions you people need to start asking and digging a little bit deeper. Where did this originate from? Well, the AP. We track it back to the AP, and what does the AP say? They say that the Trump administration is considering a proposal to mobilize as many as 100,000 National Guard troops to round up unauthorized immigrants, including millions living nowhere near the Mexico border, according to a draft memo obtained by the Associated Press. Now, immediately, there is no link to a PDF file. And people, you're used to getting this from the AP. They give you no links, no proof to go look up stuff. That's what I always try to provide. And when I dig down the rabbit hole and I hit a brick wall, something's not right. When they cite things and they leave no proof and just expect you to believe it, there is an issue. And what they've done is they said they have this magical draft memo. It is an 11-page document calling for the unprecedented militarization of immigrants in this country, as far north as Portland, Oregon, and as far east as New Orleans. Now, 4 states that border Mexico that are in this proposal are California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And they say that this also goes up to Oregon, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and I cannot help but think, when I hear all these states, this matches the exact same area where they were running all the drills for Jade Helm. Everyone that wanted to just rub it off, push it off, and say this, we knew that it was practice at the time. Never, ever did any of us ever say that they were looking to go live right there in your backyard. Never. We told you what the generals were saying, what they were doing. They were using people's property, trying to work in urban type of atmospheres. Other people did not like it. 2016, they were supposed to go through a cloaking phase and an evaluation phase. And in 2017, they were supposed to have all this published on the results. Okay? That's one thing that jumps out at me here when looking at this. It's dealing with almost the exact same area. The same Jade Helm area, and they're talking about 100,000 troops. Now, this is the thing. Either this is some fairy tale concoction that the AP has just created because they're giving us no proof, or they did get their hands on something here that was drawn up, okay, because they're saying the governors in 11 states would have a choice whether to have their Guard troops participate. They're saying that this was written by U.S. Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly, a retired 4-star Marine general. And that they're saying that while the National Guard personnel have been used to assist with immigration-related missions on the U.S.-Mexico border before, they have never been used as broadly or as far north. Now, they go on to state here that this would serve as a guidance toward this executive order that Trump put out in regards to immigration in this roundup. Now, we have to pump the brakes here for a second. Wherever do we have the proof thus far that the Trump administration was even considering this? Because the very first words out of the AP is the Trump administration is considering. Did they just take it upon themselves to craftily put this together and orchestrate this story to where they could get away with sticking it out there? And they even put the caveat in there of the White House is denying this. They say a White House spokesman, Sean Spicer, says this was 100% not true and irresponsible. There is no effort to do this or utilize any National Guard troops against unauthorized immigrants. They have this in there. They're backdoor out. They put that in there, but they're acting like that's the lie. But all too often, the mainstream media is caught peddling the lies. We see it left and right. So, to me, you can't gravitate toward Trump or gravitate toward the establishment. You have to sit in the middle, look at all of the evidence on the table and use discernment. And from what I see of this thus far, it is very possible that the memo could be something that was drafted up by someone else, but nowhere do I see that the Trump administration was considering it, especially when other people are denying it. Just because you get your hand on a memo that someone else drew up, until someone says I'm for or against it, it looks like the AP just took it upon themselves to say that the Trump administration was considering this. See, and there is a problem. Okay? Now, if we have more concrete evidence that proof is out there that Trump and his administration were looking at plans like this and there's a flip-flop, well, guess what? We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about it. And we're going to put all the cards on the table like you should. Not turn a cheek to it. Too many people attach themselves to shills and other things out here and ideologies, and when anything goes against it, you want to defend it, and even if it's lies. You people have got to break away from that. You've got to use discernment. Weigh all the options out, see what it is on the table, and when I do this, what I see in the end is this. There's a very real possibility there could be a memo out there, although the AP gives me no proof, not a link one, to go and show you the wording, anything. They show me no proof of the Trump administration considering this because they're countering saying no, they have no audio, no video or anything showing that those individuals specifically were eyeballing this. No pictures of them looking at the documents, nothing. Okay? And then I guess finally, you got to learn to look at the little things that are attached to some of these things. Because I believe that even though they're pumping out some of the stuff just for clickbait, just for attention, all this other stuff, I believe there is hints of truth to other things ticker taped in. And I can't help but say it again. The one thing that jumps out at me out of this whole story, seeing through all the BS, is the fact that the states mentioned match Jade Helm to a T. Very interesting timing right now. And remember, SoCal was in an extreme red zone listed on there. And right now, SoCal is getting ready to get pounded by this winter storm. And they are right there on the border in an area that sees a lot of activity as far as immigration coming through, a lot of military activity, and a place where we saw a lot of military activity as far as Jade Helm, as well as in Texas and other bordering states. But that's where it sits. As far as this being true or not, I just gave you everything that I've come across thus far. Right now, it's being pitched around in the air back and forth like a softball between the mainstream and the White House. And it's almost like it's a hot potato. No one wants to touch it. It's throwing it back and forth, but it's the same old crap. One gets it and they're like, oh, it's true. The other gets it and says, oh, it's not. And that's where it sits. If I get any concrete proof swinging this one way or another, I will update. Make sure you're following me on Dabu7, at Dabu7 on Twitter, and also my other YouTube channel, Dabu777. I will be running a unique, around-the-clock live stream over there as much as possible, showing current events, recent videos, recent live streams from the streets, some of our best talks on key things, some of our best underground world news live events, some of my music, the whole nine. And look to get that up and running over there And I can always break in live there as well with any event, and keeps that channel with something going and active, and people can catch up on stuff if they missed it. So make sure you're following me there, and hit the gearbox next to where it says subscribe, guys. Hit that little gearbox and check that you want email notification, because if not, you are not going to get notified of all the information we put out there. They're just going to send you one notification on one video per day. If we're putting out 5, 6 videos covering live events, going live, breaking, you're not going to get it unless you're going to our channels and looking us up. And I find it pretty crazy that when it comes to my channel and the views that I do here and people coming to me and seeing what I'm up to, all the views that I do, out of the 100% of it, over 75% of the views, according to Google and what they tell me, doesn't come from subscribers. And a shout outs to the over 250,000 here on 77, the over 150 over on the other channel on 777. But it's coming from people that come to my channel specifically. They come to my channel looking and not even subscribed. It's just non-subscribers, people that just come to my channel looking. Over 77%. So once again, a shout out to the folks out there that share this information. I see you. I see it in the logs of folks I follow and everything. I see who's sharing and helping fight the fight. It's appreciated, because we could do these videos all day long, but if people aren't sharing them or people are afraid to share it, we're not going to win the fight. How do you expect us to win the battle when you have a general and everyone else ready to take to the streets to confront this beast and everything it has to do with it, and there's no troops? Where are you at? Where are you at? Time is ticking.